how do you keep your tomato plants upright, preventing them from flopping over and becoming a big tangle of vines in the garden? Well, let me save you some time, energy, and money in the tomato garden, because after years of experimentation, I've determined that this is the ultimate tomato trellis. So I've got this plastic garden twine tied to the bottom of the stem here and just spiraling up the tomato plant stems as they grow. And I've got it tied off to the top beam of this trellis support structure. So as far as how far apart to space the vertical beams, I suggest 5 to 6 feet apart, no more than that. And what you're going to want to do is where these beams at the top meet up, what I did here is just screwed them in kind of on an angle here. It's not super legit, but it works. And then I put a support beam or a brace above that and screwed it in here and on this side as well. So this is pretty solid. It's not going to go anywhere. And I found that this spacing for the beams works really well and is going to be enough that it's not going to collapse and buckle under the weight of all your tomato plants, and hopefully they're huge fruit loads. I like this trellis a lot for growing tomatoes as opposed to tomato cages or stakes, because it's a really efficient and inexpensive way to do it. Cages are actually pretty expensive. I have some behind me here that I built back in 2015 and they're amazing, but it cost me $100 Canadian to build just 10. Whereas this trellis is supporting 6 tomato plants and cost me less than 20 bucks. So by going with the string trellis method, you're really maximizing the value of your dollar. Another reason I love the string trellis design is for its aesthetic appeal. It's just really nice to see tomatoes lined up in a neat row like this, and each tomato plant is pruned. In this case, I've got my tomato plants pruned to 2 stems, which means I've kept one sucker to grow. So you got the main leader and that sucker that I've kept, and they're just being spiraled up these strings here in a nice, neat, conformed row. The lean design really makes harvesting and pruning easy access. I mean, why wouldn't you like this trellis? At the front half of this trellis, I've got 3 different varieties of beefsteak tomatoes. The one at the back there is a big beef. This one here is a Better Boy. And this one at the very front here is a variety called Early Girl. So you can see they're looking decent. To be completely honest with you guys, it has not been the best growing season for tomatoes. Overall, the plants look okay. They're actually starting to get some early blight. I've picked off a lot of the leaves, and the production just isn't there this year. Not sure why exactly. Could be the cooler weather we've been having. We've also been getting a lot of rain this season, which in excess is not good. And it also could be partly because my soil is somewhat depleted of nutrients. Now, I have been adding fertilizer every week or two, but still, I think it'd be worthwhile to get a soil test just to see where things are at with the soil. At the back, I've got 3 Super Sweet 100 cherry tomato plants. I've talked about this variety a lot in my past videos. It's just your standard grocery store red cherry tomato, perfect for tossing into the salad or eating fresh off the vines. I actually have some ready for harvest right now. So this is what they look like, very standard. And good flavor, not extremely sweet, but just that perfect cherry tomato flavor you're looking for. Sometimes I find it kind of interesting to learn the history behind some of these different varieties. And for the Super Sweet 100s, according to this website I'm looking at right now, specialtyproduce.com, it says, one rumor suggests that Sweet 100s got its name during field trials in California when a gentleman wearing a white shirt picked a sample of cherry tomatoes from row 100. The seeds and juice spurted all over his clean shirt as he ate the fruit, and he laughed it off, saying, "Boy, that 100 is a sweet little devil," which came from its name. From which came its name. I can English. It also says here, it's a hybrid developed by Northrop King Seed Company, which is now a division of Syngenta. Sweet 100s revolutionized the cherry tomato world with its terrific yields of up to 50 fruits per cluster, and its novel sweet taste when it was introduced in 1978. So you might be wondering, Lucas, how tall should I build my trellis? Well, this trellis right here is about 6 feet tall. I'm 6'2", and for the beefsteaks, this is a good height. 6 feet will be fine for the beefsteaks, at least here in Ontario, where we have a shorter growing season. But for the cherry tomatoes, they typically get upwards of 8 to 10 feet. And so what I've done this year actually is I've topped off the cherry tomatoes, and that will prevent them from growing. Of course, they will get new suckers, new side shoots spreading up, and I'll have to be diligent and go in and pick those off. But definitely could have built a taller trellis for the cherries. Really, the height is up to you. Do some testing to see what's best, but personally I suggest anywhere from 6 to 10 feet tall for your trellis is going to work well. So I also have some Roma tomatoes growing here up a string that is attached to the top of this cucumber trellis, and they're doing extremely well. This is an Italian variety. It's an heirloom, and the great thing about these tomatoes is that they don't have much juice in them, so they're great for making sauce. I've just got these 2 Roma plants here, spaced about 1.5 feet apart, and they've got these really nice trusses of beautiful Roma tomatoes. So really excited to make some spaghetti sauce later in the season when it's harvest time. So there you have it. That is my string trellis design. I think the wooden beams add a really nice rustic vibe to the garden, and it's just a really effective, efficient way of maximizing space in your tomato garden growing vertically. And it's inexpensive compared to other methods of supporting tomato plants like staking and caging. I just think you should give it a try. I think you're really gonna like this trellis. There are so many variations on it. Find something that works for you in your garden, and one day I'd really love to have just some really nice long rows of tomatoes with these trellises, rows of beefsteaks, cherry tomatoes, and I just think that would look really awesome and produce just a crazy amount of maters. So I'm looking forward to that in the future. Anyway, my name's Lucas. I grow tomatoes. If you have any questions at all, leave them down in the comments section, and I hope you have a fruitful day.